Alright guys, this week we are going to start the author background essay. This is going to be a bit more lengthy of a video, but it's going to go through everything you need to know to be able to be successful on the author background essay. Now, this is going to be different than a traditional essay you're used to because we're doing several different small essays and putting it together in one big research paper. So we'll take 3 of those essays and combine them all together in one big research paper. We're not going to be doing a traditional introduction and conclusion paragraph, and I'll go over that shortly. So here is your writing purpose for this essay. Explain the aspects of the author's personal life and background, how they influenced his or her writing of the novel being researched. So what are some aspects of that author's life or their background that influence their writing, specifically the book that you are reading? So some components of good writing. We need to make sure our content is good, meaning the main message is organized, you have supporting details, you're staying on topic, etc. We also need to make sure our word choice, sentence fluency, tone, and voice are good as well. And then mechanics, this is the grammar aspect, the punctuation, the spelling, correct word usage. So we're going to go through all of these things. Here is the lovely rubric that we will be using. So you can kind of take a look at this and we're going to go through it. We want to get a 4 on the content and style section. That is the top marks. So to get a 4, you need to demonstrate full comprehensions of ideas stated explicitly by providing an accurate analysis. So that means you're showing you fully understand the prompt and you are fully answering the prompt. You need to provide effective development of your claim that is consistent and appropriate to the task and the prompt. You need to use clear reasoning supported by relevant text-based evidence in the development of your claim. And you need to be effectively organized with clear and coherent writing. This is where our topic sentences, our text evidence, our conclusion sentences are going to come into play. And then you need to have an effective style, so appropriate word choice, sentence fluency. We're not having a bunch of short, choppy sentences. Tone and writer's voice. So, we're going to talk about the purpose of writing first. This is the claim that you are going to come up with for this essay. So again, the topic is explain what aspects of the author's personal life and background influenced his or her writing of the novel. So here's an example. On the 2nd of October 1904, Henry Graham Greene was born in Berkhamsted, Hertfordshire, England. Greene was the 4th of 6 children to be born in this middle-class family. His father was the headmaster of Berkhamsted School, which he attended. This does not clearly state the purpose of writing. You're giving a list of things, but none of these are things that affected his writing, so this is not a good claim. Next, we have the novel Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier is a romantic novel about a woman who meets a wealthy man and falls in love. The young woman finds out that she's living with her husband's former wife, in Rebecca's shadow. Daphne is known for her idiosyncratic writing. Again, this is not good. It's giving a summary of the book. We're not looking for a summary of the book, much less are we fully focusing on the book in this specific essay. We're more focusing on how the author's life affected her writing. Okay, this one. The 3 things that most impacted Susan Hill in her writings were social issues of the day, her beliefs in female rights, and the loss of her daughter. All of these things played an important role in her writing. This one is a good claim, and you'll see it's very simple. The 3 things that most impacted Susan Hill in her writings, and then they listed those 3 things. And then they followed up with all of these things play an important role of her writing. It's short, sweet, simple, and it gets to the point. We know what their essay is going to be about. Okay, we have another. It says, one of Golding's biggest influences is in his literature, and most importantly his book Lord of the Flies, was his experiences in the military. This is also good. This is talking about specifically his experience in the military, and then they follow up with some uh, examples of that. Now, let's move on to paragraph organization. So, for paragraphs to be well organized, you need a topic sentence, which is clear and on topic. You need logical and specific evidence supporting the paragraph's topic. This evidence is going to come from your sources that you researched and annotated about the author. If you're paraphrasing, you need to make sure you paraphrase accurately. And if you are directly citing, you need to make sure you're doing that accurately as well. You also, most of your paragraphs and most of your essay, and ultimately your research paper, is going to be your commentary. So it should not be filled with just evidence upon evidence upon evidence. If you're giving evidence, you need to spend a good length of time explaining that evidence and why it's there. Only address one topic in each paragraph. So do not try to jumble your paragraphs and focus on multiple things in one paragraph. Keep it simple and only focus on one thing at a time. Okay, so here's a rundown. Okay, so let's look at this short paragraph. In 1874, Dostoevsky had joined a secret circle called the Petrovsky Circle, which they devoted to revolution and illegal propaganda. He did not sympathize with egalitarian communism and terrorism. On April 23, 1849, he and his other members of the secret circle were arrested. And then it goes on to give a list of facts. This is not clearly on topic. It is not showing an event that affected his writing. There's no evidence here. It's not logical. It's just kind of all over the place, giving a list of facts. There is no commentary because, again, it is just a list of facts. And also, it is plagiarism. If you're going to list facts like this and not say where you got them, one, don't list facts like this. Two, you didn't come up with all this information off the top of your head. So if you're not citing it, that is in fact plagiarism. Okay, so let's try again. Again, we're looking for topic sentences, concrete details, commentary. So this paragraph, Golding uses the common theme of hunger between the Netherlands and the Homo sapiens, much like Golding remembered it to be during the Second World War. In The Inheritors, hunger is one of the dominant themes of the novel, but this isn't mentioning just any hunger. Golding describes it as the kind of debilitating hunger that makes you less and less able to move and also to think. Golding uses this reference from personal experience after the hunger he experienced from when food was scarce. So the topic sentence is great. We're talking about hunger and how his experience in the Second World War builds this theme of hunger. It's also very logical. They did paraphrase here. So you'll see Golding describes it as kind of debilitating hunger. And then they have Golding one. They are, they are paraphrasing there. So they did cite that. So it's not plagiarism. However, it's not specifically accurate, and more specific evidence is probably needed within this one paragraph. As you can see, it's very short. The commentary needs to be more. That's what would make the length of this essay, this paragraph, longer. They need to speak more about this debilitating hunger. But they did address only one topic in this paragraph. So this paragraph is not terrible. They just need to add some commentary in there. Okay, another paragraph. Although Marquez profoundly hated the idea of politics becoming the way of life for many people, he personally embraced the task at hand. He became a literary prodigy in the fields of politics and believed he had an obligation to inform and influence those in power around him. Marquez became desensitized to the idea of losing people during moments of war and was hopeless until his influence became a positive change in these remote areas riddled with death and disease. And then it goes on. So, topic sentence clear and on purpose. We're halfway there. It talks about politics a little bit, but it doesn't really bring it back to the book. It does have logical and specific evidence supporting the paragraph's topic. You can kind of see that down around here. However, the commentary is lacking, but they did only address one topic in this paragraph. Okay, then we have this one. This is a perfect paragraph. One of Golding's biggest influences in his literature, and most importantly his book, The Lord of the Flies, was his experience in the military. Short, concise topic sentence. During his time in the Royal Navy, he worked up the ranks, starting as an enlisted troop, going all the way to commanding his own ship. This is important because in Lord of the Flies, he is able to accurately depict a character who is a leader like Ralph, and a character who is a follower like Piggy. This is because he has been in the position of a follower and a leader in the military, and is able to tell the difference between a good and a bad one. It goes on. During his time in the military, he also got to see the worst in people, saying, I began to see what people are capable of doing. Anyone who moved through those years without understanding that a man produces evil as a bee produces honey must have been blind or wrong in the head. What he is saying is that when things go bad, people start to do ill-minded things because they are desperate. This ties into the book because down the line, something bad will happen and one of the characters will lash out. Okay, so we have evidence or things that happened, and then we have commentary here. Notice that the commentary, it's much longer than the evidence or the paraphrased information itself. Commentary should be longer. They're only addressing one specific topic. Now down here, they could say a little more, but overall, this is a good paragraph. Okay, we want to make sure that enough content is given to prove the claim. So remember your claim from the beginning, you're going to kind of list out the things that influence this author's writing. We want to make sure you have enough content to prove this claim. So look at the claim you make at the beginning of the essay that establishes your purpose. And so we're going to work with the three things that most impacted Susan Hill in her writing were social issues of the day, her beliefs in female rights, and the loss of her daughter. Make sure you've developed each claim in its own paragraph. One is usually not enough. So usually you would probably need 2 or more paragraphs to explain each claim. And what I mean by each claim is each thing in the list here. We have clear topic sentences. If you are doing multi-sentence for one claim, you don't need another topic sentence. You just kind of roll into the next paragraph. You need multiple pieces of specific cited evidence from your sources. And then your commentary that explains and analyzes the relevance of the evidence to the claim being proven. So again, topic sentence, make sure you're focusing on each thing that you put in your claim, multiple pieces of evidence, and then commentary. Now, let's talk about closings, because this is not a traditional essay in that you have an introduction paragraph and a conclusion paragraph, because it is a piece of an entire research paper. So we're doing a transitional closing. What this means, it's kind of like a conclusion. However, a conclusion indicates that that's the end of the entire piece of writing. A closing indicates one part of that writing and it transitions to the next part. So we're ending the author background piece. For example, Wells' love for science is unmatchable. He was a great writer, but without the impacts of his life, it would have never have been. And then we have a couple of other examples. The last one, if all of these influences are known to the reader, the story can be seen with a deeper understanding and more satirical moments will be caught. This one, Queenie uses the word safe constantly because she has people around her but does not feel appreciated for herself but feels alone. This is not leading into her writing. The third one, he passed away, leaving his readers to wonder why he turned so violent, but he left behind his writing that shows these influences very clearly. This brings it back to the writing, because remember, our next two essays are specifically about that book. And then the last one, if all these influences are known to the reader, the story can be seen with a deeper understanding and more satirical moments will be caught. So you need to make sure you're kind of leading in, transitioning to talking about the book itself. So again, we're transitioning. Here's another example. Do remember we're moving from the author background essay to the theme analysis essay. So we almost kind of want to bring that in. So here's an example. Wells' love for science is clearly evident in his writing, but he does not venture into his science fiction without a warning. Wells begins immediately to develop a theme for his readers. That's their transitional closing, and then that leads perfectly into the next section of the essay with theme analysis. Another one, all of Barrie's stories revolve around these influential experiences, and without them, there would be no Peter Pan or his other short stories, such as The Little Minister. Likewise, it was through these experiences that Mr. Barrie developed the overreaching message he sends to his reader through his story of Peter Pan. Growing up and leaving your childhood innocence is hard, but it's a necessary part of life. So in this one, they actually stated the theme as they're leading into that next piece of the essay. Now let's talk about mechanics. We need to make sure we are paying attention to this. I know that you can do Grammarly on your Chromebook and it will kind of help you along the way. So, run-on sentences often can be fixed with a period and making two different sentences. Also a comma and a conjunction, maybe even a semicolon. So, for example, as a young boy, his mother and his sister died of influenza, and this led to deeper thought and search for meaning in his writing. We are missing a comma right here before that conjunction, and that is making it a run-on sentence. Also, we could separate with a period and take that conjunction away. Okay, that's where we add the comma and the conjunction. We could also do a semicolon and take the conjunction away. Or we could make a complex sentence with a dependent clause at the beginning that says, well, because his mother and sister died of influenza when he was a young boy, comma, he sought deeper thought and meaning in his writing. Okay, let's talk about fragments. These are usually incomplete sentences or thoughts. A lot of times these are just dependent clauses that are trying to be sentences. It says Jules Verne, one of the greatest authors of his time and the father of science fiction. There is no verb here. There is no complete thought. Another one, To the Lighthouse, a novel known for the writing styles of Virginia Woolf that has helped change society and what it is today. Again, this is not a complete thought. A couple more. Amore Towles raised in Boston, Massachusetts in 1964. Once again, it's just not these are all just dependent clauses. And then the last one, especially the known book, Alice's Adventures in Wonderland and Through the Looking Glass. Once again, not complete. Okay, let's also pay attention to verb tense errors. When talking about an author who is no longer living, you use past tense verbs, not present tense. They are no longer with us. So we are speaking of them in the past tense. Verb tenses should be consistent in a sentence. Make sure you're not switching from present tense to past tense. When paraphrasing plot points in the novel, they should be told in present tense as if they're still happening. So if you're talking about a book or a work, you are using the present tense. So here's some errors in verb tense. The author of All Quiet on the Western Front, Erich Maria Remarque, is greatly influenced by his background. So he is no longer with us, so we need a past tense verb here. Hyphenated words. We need to make sure that when we have Two adjectives together, two words together used as an adjective, they are hyphenated, such as well-known, hardworking. Okay, again, let's pay attention to comma errors. Introductory and interrupting phrases need some commas around them. Also, first and second person pronouns cannot be used, such as I, me, my, we, us, they, them, you, your. All the first and second person pronouns cannot be used in any of these essays. We also need to avoid informal word choices such as contractions, modern expressions. So, like text message language, we want to avoid that. Weak adjectives such as good or bad. And then title of books and articles incorrectly notated. Titles of novels are italicized every time you type them. When you type the title of a novel, it is italicized. It is not in quotation marks. And then article titles are in quotation marks. Contractions are not used in formal writing either. And that is the end. I hope this helps. And this gets you on your way to writing a successful author background essay.